please rise if you're able. Remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patron love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for
Well, good afternoon and welcome inside Performance Arena. In Service Place, St. Albert, Alberta is where we are. My name is Keenan, joined on the call this afternoon by Mohammed. And Mo, coming into this game, the Rebels up 1-0 in the series as we sit right now. How do the Crude get past the Rebels in Game 2 to send this one to a third tomorrow?
Well, they've got to definitely make a commitment to getting inside, cutting off ball. I thought their offense was pretty stagnant in Game 1. It's going to be tougher for them because they're short-handed. Only 15 runners dressed here, a couple of key players out. We'll see if they have a little bit more of an answer offensively, and then defensively, they just got to get off the floor quickly and not allow the Rebels to transition up.
So the Crude and the Rebels in game number 2, a win here for the Rebels will send them to the Larry Bishop Memorial Cup, not only as the host, but as the North Division champion. So nonetheless, the Crude will be in the Larry Bishop as, in technicality, the North Division champion, but the Rebels will get all of the bragging rights. As we're just a bit delayed on the start here right now, as there was an issue with one of the nets right now, so we have a couple of Crude, I don't know what you want to call them, Crude staff members just fixing up the nets right now with help of the referees. So we're a little bit delayed off of the start here. And once again, we thank you for tuning in to CROW LAX TV. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. Be notified every single time we go live all season long. And I guess, well, the season's almost over. Larry Bishop is next weekend. So, Mo, it's an interesting scenario for the Crude only running 15 guys here in the second game. Do you think this is more just a strategy of they know they're not going to be able to get past the Rebels in 2 successive games, just resting guys heading into the Larry Bishop?
Yeah, no, I think they have a handful of guys that are hurt, and yeah, there's a few guys that definitely could play today. But given the situation that they're in, where they know they're going to the Larry Bishop, and they're going to meet this team again, I think they're just trying to rest some guys and trying to get their health back to where they would want it to be. Heading into a tournament, it's going to be very compressed over the course of 4 days.
As still some net repairs being made as one of the Crude staff members runs over from the other net, as both nets actually needed a bit of repair here. Everybody's kind of just standing, strategizing their final last-minute decisions. Your starting goaltenders in net. It will be opposing double zeros on both sides. For the Crude, it's going to be Ryan Horbe getting the call between the pipes. And as always, the Rebels going to trusty Bowen Carpenter, who's made some unreal stops this year. And Mo, if I had to give a goaltender of the year award, and I don't remember, I'm pretty sure Carpenter actually did end up winning it, but he is for sure by far goaltender of the year.
Yeah, he's a guy that has a lot of athleticism. He can jump across the crease and make a lot of reactionary saves. but he's also pretty good positionally too from the outside. And he makes it, you gotta, for the most part, you gotta make a good shot to beat him. And I thought on the other end, Will Horn had an excellent first period and first half of the game against the Rebels in game 1. He's gonna need a stellar performance here over the full 60 minutes if the Crude want to hang.
As the nets are finally fixed, referees doing their handshake introductions to the coaching staffs. Everybody finding their places on the floor. Julian Ferretti going to be taking the opening draw for the Crude, and Kalix Simonson going to oppose him.
I actually, just looking over now, I made the mistake. It's not Will Horn and net, it's Horbay. So the Crude are going to go with their backup in this one.
A bit of an interesting decision. Do you think that's just to rest Horn heading into the Larry Bishop?
I think they're already of the mindset that they're not full strength, and I guess they're giving Ryan a little bit of a chance here.
As ball is down, everybody's in their spots. Whistle blows, and we're underway from inside Performance Arena. Off the opening draw, Rebels are going to take the win, as running it into the zone is going to be Badgema. Badgema all the way down into the far side corner, now runs it up and swings it up to the top. Now back down onto the far side corner. Looking, cross pass to Connors. Connors, CROW LAX TV Rookie of the Year this year, looking to try and cut inside. Instead, he's going to pass down low, shot scores! Reed Lowe opens the scoring 22 seconds in.
Yeah, the last guy you want to leave wide open on the crease. Low steps like he's going far side and then comes back short. One of the better moves you'll see an offensive player pull off, and a lot of the skill guys go to that move, use their body to get the goalie to lean one way and then come back to the other.
So Reed Lowe drawing first blood here against the Crude. The Crude are down early. It's a long road, still over 59 minutes to go. As off the ensuing draw, Crude are just going to try and whack it up right in front of the Rebels bench right now. Still a loose ball and fighting for it. Looks like the Crude are trying to get body positioning on that. It's not going to work, as the Rebels are going to pick this one up, as Badgema is going to run it in against 3 Crude defenders right now. Badgema slows it down. Looking for some assistance as he gets a cut pass by Nikipolo. It bounces over, and actually keeping possession is Kohut as he throws it onto the far side boards. Now up top, now over to Jolivet. Jolivet back up top, rips one as Baker. That's going to go just wide. Eastwood trying to get in there to get the rebound. Horbay just about coming up with the stop. He's not able to quite reach it, and Eastwood able to regain for the Rebels. Jolivet off to Connors, back to Jolivet. Over on the far side now. Back over to Eastwood and right into the crest, as Eastwood actually throws a bit of a cross check, and they're going to get away with that one there, as I thought that was a penalty coming up to the Rebels.
Yeah, at the very least interference. I just don't think the official picked it up.
Connors with it again, looking to cut in. He is going to cut in and around traffic, throws a just wide rebound, going to end up in the stick of a Crude defender, as that is going to be Smith. As Smith runs in, throws a shot on Carpenter with the easy stop. Is picked up, and Vetch crosses the half with it.
Yeah, Crude doing a pretty good job there, pushing it up floor. That's something that they're going to have to generate some chances out of, because they have struggled to get inside 5-on-5.
Baker with it on the far side, looking for some help from a couple of guys. He's going to cut back, instead pass to Lowe across the floor. Lowe looking to wind up, going down low instead, looking for Baker, just missed his stick. Ball still loose as the shot clock is going to come to an expiry.
Yeah, a little bit of a slower start to this one. The Rebels do come out, get the early goal. But right now, I feel like both teams are sort of kind of comfortable with where they're at in this game.
As Fodchuk went for a behind-the-back pass over to Stenson, and Stenson bobbled it, and immediately it's going to be picked up by the Rebels, as now the Rebels move it into the zone. Looking to go across, opts to go to Eastwood up top instead, as cuts off for a change-off. Eastwood's going to rip one on net, and Horbay, it actually ended up in his pads, and that was kind of an interesting save there. I don't think Horbay actually knew where that ball was.
No, the ball was out in front of him, and he was looking behind him, and you see that Eastwood creating that turnover with an active stick. He's a guy that turns the ball over offensively for the Rebels more than anyone I think I've ever seen at any level.
Simonson passes down low to Jolivet. Jolivet picks it up through traffic. Looks to go on a sharp angle shot that goes off of the pad of Horbe. Crude able to regain the rebound for about all of half a second before the Rebels regain again, and they're going to go back to work with a fresh 30 on the offensive. Simonson's going to rip one on net. Jolivet looking for the rebound, gets a second one, and a nice couple saves there by Horbe just to make sure that this game stays within one as Connors rips one on net and off the post, and a nifty little pick and spin move there.
Yeah, there's a big sequence there for Horbe. Made a couple of really nice saves, and he's going to have to be, you know what, play his best game of the year if the Crude are going to be in this game.
As Reed Lowe ripped one right off the post again. That's 2 posts in this offensive pressure here. Is looking down low. It was Kohut who missed the initial. It went into the stick of Simonson, and now the Crude regain in their own zone. 15:55 to go here in the first. As it's going to be picked off by Connors. Connors, he's going to run in all alone, and nice save by Horbe, dropping down to cut that off on Connors.
Yeah, great job by Horbe to stand tall there off of the mistake and the quick turnover. And that's 3 or 4 really nice saves by the goaltender now in a row.
As Freddie passes off to Fodchuk. Fodchuk gets his pass cut off by Longmire. Able to swoop in and pick that one up. Are the Crude over on the far side with it now. Looking to cut in was Dickin, as he's going to get rubbed out along the boards by Vetch and Badgema. Maintains possession, though. Nice job by Dickin to keep that one. Unfortunately, doesn't get a shot off in time. There's a little bit of extra pushing and shoving between Dickin and Badgema. Referee was watching that one closely, but now the Rebels go back on the offensive.
You see just the sheer aggressiveness of Badgema. He just runs guys down and is absolutely relentless. Closes gaps maybe quicker than anyone in the league. And he shows you there why he's so hard to play against.
As Eastwood was looking for an outlet pass to Simonson, who is leaping through the air, looking for maybe a one-touch pass and shot, as the Crude going to move that one up the floor quickly as Reich holds it. Reich keeps it against Eastwood, dishing off to Stenson, now over to Fodchuk. Fodchuk goes over onto the far side boards, can't catch a number at the moment. Now goes up top, looking to rip one on net is Dickin as he does. Carpenter able to come up with the stop.
Yeah, Dickin loves to jump up across the top and take that underhand slash sidearm type shot. He'll either do that or try to go underneath all the way to the net, and maybe Carpenter's first real save of the game.
As Connors holds it on the close side boards, goes back behind the net as the Rebels look to set up an offensive. Simonson's going to walk in and throw that one just over the net. Rebels able to pick up the rebound, and another one almost takes off the referee's head was Dylan Pook as the 30-second shot clock comes to an expiry.
A good cut up off the top from Simonson, gets inside. Good feed from in behind the net. The Rebels changing up where that ball's coming from, and good look there. Just missing the net, though, with Simonson.
As the Crude look to cut inside, and the shot's going to go massively wide of the net and bounce back past the blue line of, if there was ice in here, would be the blue line. Fry was able to pick that one up, dishes off, now over to Fodchuk on the close side. Fodchuk rips one over the shoulder of Carpenter and ties this game at ones.
I was talking to Josh Fodchuk before the game, and I was telling him, man, I want to see a game 3, score some more goals from center. Well, he basically just did, and it's 1-1.
Well, Fodchuk gets the Crude on the board. Shots right now reading 9-3 in favor of the Rebels. So Crude getting, I guess, what you can call more quality shots over quantity. However, the Crude, I think that may have been their first actual quality shot of the game from Fodchuk. It's Badgema with it on the close side. Badgema getting around a couple defenders, looking to cut in here using his body, and throws that one just wide of the net. As that goes up into the netting, it's going to be Crude ball. 13-13 to go. As Lowe cuts off the pass, Lowe's going to throw one, and I think that hits somebody in front on its way to the net.
The Rebels causing a lot of turnovers here early in this game, and the Crude have to support the ball a little better. They're leaving the ball carrier a little bit exposed. Got to move off their defender and open themselves up.
As Baker rips one on net, Horbe dropping down to make the stop. As the Rebels hit double digits in shots. just over 7 minutes into this one. He's bringing it across the half. Is Nikipolo. He's going to pass off to Stenson. Stenson holding. Passing off. Now going down low with it. Crude looking to find a lane in, and it looked like Fry was trying to go and pick it up and in one fell swoop kind of throw that one on the net. It ends up falling out of his stick, and the Rebels regain as Nickel is in. He's got some reinforcement with him. He's going to dish off to Simonson so he can cut off for his own change. As Simonson walks it along. Fake pass, still in Simonson's stick. Nobody was really fooled by that one as Connors fires one just over the net. Rebels able to pick up their own rebound. 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Connors with another one. That one does hit Horbay. And Horbay coming up with a good amount of stops so far in this one against the Rebels, who have had a lot of opportunities. Again, like you were saying, Mo, a lot of, cut passes that keep them in the offensive zone.
Yeah, no, definitely. The Rebels are doing a good job of opening up off the ball, cutting inside, and not settling for those outside looks. Better defensive set there, though, for the Crude on that last possession.
As Vetch able to pick that one up in the defensive zone, moves it in, passes off to Lowe. Lowe looking, firing, and scores. I didn't quite see where that went between 5-hole and on the far side of Horbay's left pad. Nonetheless, Rebels now up 2-1.
Yeah, it sort of snuck through him. I couldn't quite tell either if that went 5-hole or by his left pad out to the far side, but either way, Lowe has the second of the game. He's a guy you can't give that kind of space to. Otherwise, he'll make you pay, and that's what you saw there.
So 2-1, 12-3 now shots in favor of the Rebels. 11:26 to go in what I'm considering an actual pretty low-scoring affair between these two clubs, as the ball is going to roll all the way down to Horbay, and that almost bounced out of Horbay's stick. And I believe the referee, what is that, over and back?
Yeah, over and back.
Felt like it was pretty far for an over and back, but nonetheless, I understand it as Horbay touched it up. So the Rebels get a fresh 30 to work with deep in the offensive zone. Eastwood with it. Connors trying to give him a bit of help here as gets it over to Kohut. Kohut with a nice shot. As reaching for it was Connors trying to pick up the rebound. He wasn't able to and drags a player down. No penalty forthcoming. I'm actually surprised that one wasn't called a penalty too, for hooking at least. So now Smith moves it in for the Crude. Smith runs it behind the net. Looking for somebody to pass to. He's going to go up top. Holding, 18 seconds left on the shot clock. Looking, firing one, hits the shoulder of Carpenter, and Lemieux was trying to swoop in and pick up the rebound and just kind of slid off of his feet.
Yeah, Carpenter didn't pick that one up out of Lewis's stick. It kind of jumped out of his stick and just in one motion, he didn't really wind up. And the ball kind of sailed out of his stick into the top corner, and it just caught a piece of the top of Carpenter's shoulder.
As Lowe holds it once again for the Rebels, already with the first two for them in this one. Passes down to Simonson, and Simonson with a nifty little, almost backhand down low on Horbay. Horbay was able to read that the whole way. Rebels keeping. Jolivet. Simonson looking to do it again. That one went a little wide. And Rebels, another picked up rebound. Unbelievable work by the Rebels on the rebound as we cross the halfway point of the first. Jolivet, spin move, looking down low, and scores! Puts it on the far side of Horbay, and Horbay looked dead in the water on that goal.
Yeah, Horbay made himself small there. I'm not quite sure why he moved away from where the ball was headed. Jolivet really had only one place to put that as he was getting pushed down underneath, and he kind of reached around Horbay and had a lot of net to shoot at there.
So the Rebels lead by 2 with 9:48 to go in the first, as Simonson and Ferretti having a conversation with the referee right now before he's actually going to put the ball down. I'd be curious to have the referees mic'd up one time just to hear what they're talking about. As off the draw, Ferretti's just going to kick it deep into the Crude territory and chase after it with Simonson right on top of him. Ball still loose. Everybody's trying to pick it up. Scooped up, and now the Crude have the full 200 feet to go. As Reich crosses the half, passes to Fodchuk. Fodchuk up top for Stenson. Couple passes later, we're on the far side boards. Is Dickin looking to cut in and get around his man as Renault all over him as Dickin cuts in. Takes a stick a bit up high there too, nonetheless. No penalties, and the referees seem to be letting them play in this one, as now there's going to be a penalty coming up on the play.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what was picked up there, but you're right, there is a delayed call coming up to the Crude.
As the Rebels on the delayed penalty, 6-on-5. Cross pass hits the boards, kept by Eastwood. Eastwood crossed the floor through a lot of traffic, mind you. It was low. Fires another one. That's going to go off of the foot of a player in front, and ball's going to bounce all the way down. And just like that, we're going to have our first penalty called on this game. It's going to be a slashing call against the Crude.
Yeah, it must have been behind the play as they take Bennett Fry to the box. Like I said, I didn't see it. Don't really have much to comment on it because of that, but Fry's going to make his way to the box and be escorted here by official Tony Reed.
As Fry was having a conversation all the way to the box, they're still having a conversation now as we're in the first media break of this one, of the first. This is a good time to remind you the Battle of the Border is back this September in Missoula, Montana. You can tour the beautiful University of Montana campus, learn about the CROW LAX program, and full ride scholarships available for Canadians, all while taking part in the annual North versus South Box Lacrosse Tournament. That's this September in Missoula, Montana. You can visit them at Battle of the Border LAX on Instagram. So the Rebels get the first power play of this game, and, you know, it's been a power play that I feel like has been fairly strong all year compared to, you know, some of the other teams around the league here.
Yeah, I know you add guys like Connors and Lowe to this power play, now it becomes a lot more potent. On an offense, it's kind of been hit or miss a lot of the season. They've got some big-time reinforcements.
As right now the Crude cut in off the draw and sliding into the boards there, a bit slow to get up. I can't catch a number on who that actually was there as the Rebels bobbled it. And now the Rebels one-time opportunity by Lowe. And what a beautiful shot opportunity there.
That was a great save by Horbe, jumping across the crease, getting his shoulder up on the ball, staying high enough that shot, that high release, couldn't get up over top of him.
As Simonson held it, passed it to Lowe. Lowe was looking down on the far side, and Pook is going to put that in as a cross crease pass goes through the feet of Horbe, makes this 4-1 Rebels.
Yeah, Horbe's been quite good on shots up top in this game, but the shots down by his feet have given him some trouble. And Pook continues his hot play after a big game in game number 1. He extends the Rebels' lead here by 3.
That's a power play marker on this one with 7:47 to go in the first. Connors and Ferretti head to the dot. Looking for body positioning here as the Crude, as Ferretti kind of pushes it back, as Bajema is just going to come streaking in against Nikipolo and try and knock that down. Bajema just all over the floor in game 1 and 2 here. As just look at how much he's just all over the Crude right now of Huckabee. Bajema doing some stellar work here, still off the draw. Nobody's had an extended offensive pressure until just now, as a shot there from Reese Walsh hit somebody.
Yeah, Keenan, the only way I could describe Bajema's play, if you haven't seen it, is like a wild animal that hasn't eaten in a month. Like, honestly, that's how he plays, and it's so effective. It's such a change up from the level, like the way guys play now. It's a little bit less of a physical game than it used to be. But, man, he's an old-school player, and he just jumps all over you.
Makes me wonder if his nickname in the dressing room is Taz, because he's like a Tasmanian devil all over the floor. As the Crude with it, as Fodchuk is going to pass that one off, goes up top for Dickin. Dickin looking to get around Walsh as he can't, as the other Walsh gets in and kind of like, I don't know, he kind of got a bit of a stick in on him. I thought maybe there could have been something coming there, as now there's going to actually be a penalty on the play. That's going to be Ben Renault heading to the box for unsportsmanlike conduct right now. That's an interesting penalty to call in the Crude. Also, Dickin gets a cross-check.
Yeah, there was a delay of game penalty coming up to Dickin, which is the initial call. And then Ben Renault had something to say, and official Sean Reed said I don't like that, and he put them in the box as well. So they'll go 4-on-4 here. Well, actually, yeah, I think they'll go 4-on-4 here. They're not, yeah.
They put both on the board, so I'm assuming they're going 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes here. As that is what it is it is going to be 4-on-4 here. As Lewis starts this for the Crude, as it immediately bounces out of play, and the Rebels are going to come back the other way.
Yeah, needless to say that you can't have that in a game where you're severely outmanned like the Crude are right now.
As Nickel passed to Baker, and Baker almost went on to the far side as it caught a piece of the shoulder of Horbay. Rebels maintain possession as Lowe was looking to cut in and looking for a passing lane simultaneously, opts to hold it instead as Lowe's going to cut in, get a shot off. Looking again for his third. Eastwood behind the back pass to Kohut. Kohut looking back to Eastwood as it misses his stick, ends up in the stick of a Crude player, as now he's going to be driven into the boards by Lowe. Looking to cut in now as Vetch is going to cut Reich off, as Reich gives it over to Fodchuk. Fodchuk along the blue, passing over, far side. Under 6 to play here in the first. Back over to Fodchuk. Fodchuk covered by Vetch, captain on captain action right now as it gets knocked out of the stick, and Carpenter picks that one up out of midair behind the net with another 50 seconds left on the 4-on-4. Eastwood brings it in, looking over to the far side, gets the pass off. That's going to be cut off and going to go back over the red. Simonson's going to chase after it.
Yeah, this is an important little section of the game here. If you're the Crude, finish this first period strong, try to narrow this down to maybe 1 or 2 and not let this get out of hand.
As Jolivet went to Eastwood, and Eastwood, he read that Horbay's been a bit weak down low as he tried to bounce that one between the legs of Horbay. Horbay was able to come up with the stop as now the Crude coming back the other way, looking to get a shot off around Johnson, and he does. Was Richie lucid as ball is going to go out of play into the stands here. 4:50 to go as Johnson gives it to Connors. As you probably heard through my headset, the Mario power-up sound as both players come out of the box there.
Yeah, I heard that too. I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but
I think the DJ for the Crude actually set that one off at the end of that. Nonetheless, we're back 5-on-5 over on the far side, looking, winding his Pook. Firing one, Horbay drops down to make the stop as that ended up in his pad.
yeah, Keenan, the Crude have to have some type of answers here offensively. We're sitting here with 4 minutes to go in the first period. Shots 21-3.
Unbelievable. The Crude just not able to get anything offensive really mounted here since that goal that Fodchuk scored as he goes for another one. That one, there's a shot on net for you right there. That's their first shot in, I believe, about 8 minutes of this game. Just crazy number.
Yeah, it's just too stagnant, too stationary, and they have to have like I'll say it again, they have to have a willingness to not only go inside off ball and cut, to free each other up, you know, set some hard picks, roll to the net, and look to the middle of the floor. And, you know, right now they're just sort of standing way on the outside, tossing the ball around a couple of times and settling for shots that are, you know, unlikely to even get to the net.
As Lowe went for a behind-the-back pass to Baker down low, it's going to be picked off by Balachuk as Balachuk is going to run it in. He's got some assistance. He tries to throw it over. He couldn't quite get it around through traffic as Pook holds it. He's going to be driven into the boards. He's able to throw it into center for Jolivet. Gives it off to Connors across the half. 3:11 to go here in the first as Connors holds.
Right idea there by Belichick to try to flip that over, just couldn't get it across.
Connors looking for a little spin move, elects instead to pass it off as Lowe now gets a shot off that goes low on Horbay. Horbay pinching off that close side down low as, you know, I think Horbay kind of read like, hey, I've let basically 4 goals in down low. I should probably start paying a little more attention down there.
Yeah, there was like 1 or 2 where it looked like he was lifting his stick up off the floor, and that was hurting him, and as the Rebels going to get a call here for a holding. I
believe that's actually going to go to Huckabee.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean to say. The Rebels are going to go back to the power play.
Okay, fair enough. as Eastwood kind of got like held along the hips like they were trying to reenact Titanic or something. So it's going to be a 2-minute holding call here with 2.5 to go in the first. So Connors heads to the center as Huckabee heads to the box. 4-1 Rebels lead. We thank you for tuning in here to CROW LAX TV for game number 2. Rebels leading this series 1-0 over the Crude. Rebels on the outside looking to set something up as Connors is going to pass that one over onto the far side for Pook. Now back up to Simonson. Simonson bounces that off the floor through a bit of traffic. It bounces backwards to Connors. It's Connors to Pook. Up to Simonson. Simonson back behind the net now is looking to cut around as Lowe tries to go around onto the far side. Jolivet looks for a second chance opportunity as he's going to throw that. And the Crude are going to get a second penalty against here, as I don't know if they're going to call that a goal or not. The shot clock had actually expired when that ball went in the net. But
I think you were paying more attention to the shot clock than I was. So I saw him wind up, and I wasn't really looking at the shot clock. I didn't really hear it go off though. Like, so I don't know. I think it was a goal, but
it seems that the shot clock buzzer is very quiet in this building because it's actually on it only goes off on one side of this arena. It's going off on from your camera angle right now that you're seeing live on stream. It's only coming from the right down in the Rebel zone. It doesn't go off on the far side on the left there in the Crude territory. Nonetheless, they are actually going to call it a goal.
Yeah.
Even with that.
Yeah, and Dane Menon makes his way into the penalty box. I don't really know what that's about.
As I think that's what Terry Doken, head coach of the Crude, is actually talking to the referee about right now. I think he's saying, like, the shot clock expired. Like, why are we calling this a goal right now?
Yeah, it looks like what Terry Doken is saying, head coach of the Crude. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like you were locked in on the shot clock. I honestly, I didn't even hear it go off. So.
It went off about 1.5, 2 seconds before the goal went in. So, I mean, not very much. Nonetheless, it is going to be called a power play goal, and Dane Menon is going to head to the box for another fresh Rebels power play on the delayed penalty call right there when that goal was scored. So Rebels able to steal a goal there that they probably shouldn't have at the moment. Nonetheless, if this game continues the way it has, it's probably not going to matter in the end as the Rebels hold it behind the net. Now back up top as Baker throws one on net. Connor's second chance goes just a little bit wide, and ball is going to bounce pretty far out. Kept in by Jolivet. The minute 21 to go here in the first.
They gave that last goal to Jolivet, Keenan, and he definitely was not the one. That came from the left side. He did not shoot that, so that was an error in the building.
I think that may have been either Baker or Lowe or Poop that actually got that one.
Yeah, it was a lefty. I didn't really see. Yeah, it would have been either Baker or Pook.
As Lowe throws it to Baker. Horbe able to drop down to make the stop. Now in the final minute of the first, Crude looking to go back left to right here. The Crude passed it up along the far side boards, holding. And the Crude, I mean, if you're the Crude, you want to go into this second intermission ideally down by the least amount possible. But I mean, like, we're almost 20 minutes into this game. The Crude only have 4 credited shots on goal. I mean, there's only so much you can do. Make that 5 now credited shots on goal. There's only so much you can do when you're only getting that many opportunities offensively.
I won't say it again, but we all know, and I've talked about it ad nauseum, about what they need to do offensively, and it is a tougher ask today with their personnel, but still, you got to make an attempt.
As Lowe tries to give it over to Eastwood. 6 seconds left in the period. Lowe to Simonson. They've got time for one last shot here as Kohut bobbled it, and as the shot clock comes to an expiry, so too does the game clock. As through 20 minutes of play, 5-1 Rebels lead and lead the shot clock 27-5.
Yeah, there is an element here of the Crude playing out the string here, already booked into the Larry Bishop. Obviously not their best lineup here, but I think as a team, you want to start playing some better lacrosse, and you don't want to go through a game where the other team is basically just doing whatever they want to do. So I look for the Crude to try and have a better second period here as we move through this game.
Well, that's where we sit through 20 minutes here inside Performance Arena in Service Place in St. Albert. We'll be back shortly with the second. You're watching CROW LAX TV. Welcome back inside Service Place Performance Arena as we get set for second period action between the St. Albert Crude and the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels, game 2 of the North Final, with the Rebels leading 1-0. Through 20 minutes, they also lead this game by a score of 5-1. And Mo, in the first, I don't know. The Crude only ended with 5 shots. It's an average of about 1 shot every 4 minutes of the game, which, quite honestly, I mean, is a bit sad. But nonetheless, that's where we sit through 20. As Simonson and Ferretti are going to head to the dot. Your thoughts on the first, Mo? And as I said, 5 shots on net for the Crude, an average of a shot every 4 minutes in the first. And I just don't know where you go from here if you're the Crude.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take the game into smaller sections and try to ease your way back in as Lowe.
As Lowe cuts in and scores it immediately over the far shoulder of Horbe, and that looks eerily similar to his first goal of the game too.
Yeah, he faked far, came back short. But yeah, I was just about to say the Crude have to try to cut this down into smaller sections, 5 minutes at a time, and try to gradually get better and maybe go on a 2 or 3 goal run, and that will sort of pull them back into the game. But it doesn't look like it's in the cards right now.
As that is going to be Lowe's 3rd goal of this game as well. He's already got the hat trick in 20 minutes and 15 seconds. That is absolutely impressive work from Lowe. Rebels lead 6-1. As we had been informed, thank you in the comments to whoever said it, Simonson scored the 5th goal of the game for the Rebels. And And yeah, they just announced it here in the arena that it is Kalix Simonson that gets that 5th goal. And my bad as well is we were informed in the intermission that actually the shot clock hadn't come to an expiry and whoever's running the shot clock had not reset it. Hence why we heard the buzzer go and thought maybe it wouldn't be a goal there. As Vetch has it for the Rebels. Vetch passing off to Kohut. Kohut trying to direct some traffic. He gives it to Connors. Connors gets around 1, maybe 2. He can't. Now the second man actually cuts off of him, so Connors can cut in. And a nice save by Horbe keeps this game 6-1 as on the outside. Jolivet throws one on net. Rebound picked up again. Connors throws it just a little bit wide. It's going to be called an over and back and ball awarded to the Crude.
Yeah, right now it's about forming good habits for the Crude. And let's see if they can get going at least somewhat offensively. And I'm not just necessarily talking about goals, but just opportunities, looks at the net, quality looks at the net. That's where they need to start right now because it seems like they're far away from any of that.
As Fry was cutting in, trying to get a pass from Ferretti, and he actually missed the pass, thought he had it in his stick, tried to take a shot. And the Rebels now back the other way in Crude territory with the ball. As it gets knocked out of a stick, and now back over across is going to be Reich.
Saw some of those turnovers in that first period, and I can't help but think how much they miss Drader. He's a guy that's really good at getting the ball up the floor for them and a guy they rely on.
As Dickin cuts in with Vetch knocking him off and taking out Carpenter. Dickin, though, gets awarded the goal here, and this is what the Crude needed. They needed another goal in response as Carpenter not happy about that goal against.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised they had let that stand. It looked like Dickin was well into the crease there. But nonetheless, that might have been a situation where it's 6-1 and you're kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt. But good effort there. I mean, Dickin is a guy that likes to go one-on-one, sometimes one-on-two to the net, and just powered his way to the front and got the Crude back on the board.
Yeah, it's maybe a bit of game management here from the referee saying, you know what, we'll just give them an extra goal here. It seems to be going in favor of the Rebels right now as the Rebels look to be attempting the same thing on Horbe that Dickin just did. Rebels maintaining possession. Baker throws one on net as it goes wide. trying to keep it in is Kohut. It actually looked like it bounced over his stick and up the handle of it, and over and back was called, so Crude with possession. Crude holding, now over onto the far side for Fodchuk. Fodchuk gets some help. He's looking to throw one on net himself as he rips one just wide of the net. Picked up by the Rebels, and looking strong on the rebound is now Nickel's going to cut in. Nickel in all alone, and coming up with the stop is Horbe. That was a nice opportunity and good read by Nickel to just keep possession of that and not try and force a pass over with some traffic in the way. Now over on the far side, Fodchuk throws it. Carpenter jumping to make the stop, as that's going to go back over all the way deep into Crude territory with just over 3 minutes gone by here in the second. Dickin with it. Vetch covering. Johnson's going to come and try and throw a hit on. Dickin maintains it and stays on his feet. Has a nice job getting some help there, keeping Johnson and Vetch away from that ball as Dickin gets around another defender of Badgema, but Badgema is badgering Dickin right now, and now Johnson and Badgema just all over and rubbing him out along the boards here as the shot clock comes to an expiry. Rebels now. With it is Simonson up top. Simonson to Pook. Pook back across. Now down to Baker. Baker cutting in and gets a shot off just wide. Simonson picks it up. 2 seconds left on the shot clock. Lowe's going to throw one on net and just barely beats the shot clock on that one.
Yeah, good work here by the Crew to get up floor in time, and as I say that, they throw it away into the seats. And just on that same note, as the Rebels come right back down and score, that's something that the Rebels are going to hurt you with in the second period, that short change. Crew just were not aware of what was going on there. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Noah Reich. He's had a really strong playoff run, I felt, for the Crew, and he's taken on a much bigger role getting the ball up the floor for them with the absence of Drader since the end of game number 2, or actually since the end of game number 1 of the first round. But just right now, not enough answers if you're the Crew.
It seemed the Crew may have been a bit preoccupied with the fact that that ball actually went from about the halfway point of this game into the stands and almost took off a poor old woman's head. And I think they may have been a little too concerned about that, leaving the Rebels in all alone. As Jolivet gets credited the goal, and player goes down, and slow to get up is Huckabee here, as Huckabee's going to limp over to the bench. Hopefully he can just shake that one off as the Crude restart with it. Nikipolo passing over. With it now is Fry. Fry on the close side, up top. Ripping one on net is Lewis. Carpenter able to just push that one aside. It's now a fight for it along the boards, far side, going to be won by the Rebels. Badgema holds it, takes a bit of a slash there from Lewis. Kohut with it now. Kohut passing off, regains. Now a tic-tac-toe play as Eastwood tries to go down low. It hits a body in front. Eastwood picks up his own rebound. Gives it to Connors. Now Kohut again. Kohut rips one and gets a piece of Horbe for a fresh 30, but Horbe holds that one for a Crude possession. Now cut off by Connors as he's going to throw one on net, and that goes up into the netting.
Yeah, just a little too lackadaisical with the ball. We've seen that over and over here. The Crew turning it over deep in their own end.
It's the Rebels. Jolivet is going to throw one on net, and I think he bounced that one off the floor 5-hole on Horbe and makes this game, I believe it's 8-2.
Talked about him quite a bit this year, actually. Jolivet, a guy that flies under the radar. He's been quite good for the Rebels all season long. Guy that will go inside, cut, but he also has a decent shot from the outside, as you just saw there. Pretty versatile player, very good on loose balls, will help extend possessions, and he just fits into what the Rebels like to do stylistically, and he's been a really good add for them in a full-time role this year.
As Ferretti and Simonson are going to head back, and Referee was signaling something here as the Crude actually were one player short on the floor. As now they get their 5th man on, and Simonson is going to win that one for the Rebels. So Renault runs it up. Renault passes off to Simonson. Simonson faked a pass to Kohut momentarily, then went to Eastwood instead. Now cutting in is Connors. Connors fires one on net. Second chance opportunity down low was Pook. As Kohut now picks up the rebound again, and the Rebels look to go back to work. Another fresh 30. Eastwood rips one on net, and he actually put that in short side too, as the Crude are also going to take a penalty after the goal was scored. So it's 9-2 Rebels, and they're going to get a power play.
I really have no comment there. I don't know what certain individuals are doing right now, but
as Ferretti's going to head to the box for unsportsmanlike conduct here. As now the referees are having a bit of a discussion about something. I don't know what that signal was, Mo. I know you're a referee as well. Do you know what they're signaling right there?
He was saying, like, you're in the box, like 4-on-4, like even up.
Oh, okay.
So official Sean Reed is saying that Connors needs to go to the box as well, and they're going to go 4-on-4.
As the Crude also make a goaltender change right now, is they're going to put in Horn over Horbe. So about halfway through this game, the Crude decide to make the goaltender change as the Rebels put 9 goals in the net off of 38 shots. So we're playing 4-on-4 once again for the second time in this game. As the Crude pick that one up, and now the Crude are going to walk in all alone and scores! Noah Wright, you were just talking about him, and he gets the Crude's 3rd goal of the game.
Yeah, I don't know how it seems to happen like that so often, but talk about a guy and he steps up to the plate right after, and he just grabbed that loose ball and had a head of steam going up the floor and had too much speed for the Rebels to recover against. And he makes a nice move and throwing it kind of back short side on Carpenter as he stepped out on him. And the Crude having a little bit of an answer here.
So the Crude pull back within 6. As Walsh trying to get around a couple defenders. He does. He actually takes a stick right in the face, and there's going to be a penalty on the play for high sticking against the Crude. So it's going to be a 6-on-5 again for the Rebels here. Still was a minute 30 left on the 4-on-4 as well. Baker. Now to Kohut. Kohut back to Baker. Baker's going to, he fakes low, goes high, but Horton was able to read it the whole way, and now just like that, we're going to have the high sticking call against the Crude.
Yeah, the Rebels getting a little bit of run here with their power play in this game. Had, I don't know, 4 opportunities, I feel like, around that mark anyways to this point. If nothing else, a little bit of a tune-up to try to get rolling in that way on special teams before their biggest games of the season, and Larry Bishop coming up starting on Friday.
So we're going to play some rare 4-on-3 lacrosse here for the next minute 17. As Kohut gives it over to Jolivet. Jolivet back down low and looking up high, and it actually did end up beating Horn but dropped down. That's a lucky break for the Crude. Is now looking to come back the other way are the Crude, as Menon being covered by Renault at the moment. Menon still holding it behind the Rebels net, throws it out into center as Smith is there to meet it. 13 seconds left on the shot clock. Still 45 left on the 4-on-3 before it heads to a short 5-on-4 power play. Smith throws one sharp angle just to beat the shot clock. Carpenter, easy routine stop for him, as now the Rebels look to go back to work on the offensive. Simonson passes off down low to Pook. Back to Simonson. Over to Lowe. Lowe looking to cut in. Backdoor was looking Simonson. And a nice job by Horn to read that one as the Crude regain possession here. Crude cross center as Lemieux holds. As now we're on a 5-on-4 for the next 40 seconds. Still a Rebels power play. Lemieux, far side. Holding against Connors and Brown. As Brown is currently all over him. Brown takes a couple shots at him. Still holding. Finally getting a shot was Lemieux, as it did go wide, so shot clock is going to come to an expiry, and the Rebels get the offensive with 19 seconds left on the power play.
Yeah, a little bit of a lull here right now. Not too much going on. The Rebels maybe try to kick this back into gear on this 5-on-4 look.
Baker looking backdoor was Lowe. Lowe holds off to Connors as penalty. They throw one on net after the whistle, but the penalty is about to come to an expiry, and they actually let him out about a second too early.
Yeah, looks like they're waving him back in here.
They say there's actually 1 second left on the penalty. That's a little bit embarrassing. I'll be honest with you, Mo. That's a bit embarrassing.
Well, Will Nicapillo is going to get some cardio, extra cardio in here today.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of cardio every now and then, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
As much as I don't work out, there's nothing wrong with cardio. As now the penalty expires literally the second they restart the clock. So Fry with it. Nickel covering, taking some whacks at him, trying to knock that ball loose. He can't. Nickel stays right on top of Fry. Still with Fry. Fry looking for a little bit of a spin move to pass off. He finally does. 11 seconds left on the shot clock. Is looking down lower. The Crude. Crude Smith in. Carpenter. Nice job to raise the shoulder and keep that one out. As Smith looks again right in front and scores.
Well, I was talking about answers a little earlier on, about 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well, Tyson, the answer Smith, comes in with a big-time goal.
He really does.
He had the opportunity right on front of the doorstep, slipped inside, got the ball right back, and shoveled home a nice finish there. And, man, that guy's got some big-time answers.
Carpenter overcommits a little bit on that one. Drops down a little too low. Smith able to pick up the second chance opportunity and tuck that one home. 10:32 to go. Rebels still lead 9-4. 40-12 shots in favor of the Rebels. Badjama with it now. Connors holds. Gives it to Lowe, back to Connors. Connors still holding. Looking to cut in. Gets it to Lowe. Down low. Gets a shot, and that goes off the top of the shoulder of Horn. As now, we're going to have some fisticuffs now. As just down low, it just pounded away on Ferretti. As now referee's getting there, and now Horn's trying to get in there too. And just like that, we get our first fight. As now they are going to end up tossing Rylan Walsh. As he's going to sit in the dressing room for a bit. As now, there's still some words, and they're going to throw Ferretti out too. Ferretti trying to plead his case. They're completely tossing him. He's gone. As Ferretti got absolutely dog-washed and manhandled there by Walsh. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter. And let me tell you, the rivalry has been re-sparked here, I think, a little bit, Mo.
Yeah, I didn't see what started that. So I can't really give you too much commentary on this. You got Tyson Smith, who's going to the box right now, being forced into the box. Now he's
as they're throwing out another guy right now. They're actually throwing out Tyson Smith right now as well. Tyson the Answer Smith scores a goal and then says good night.
So Ferretti was leaking quite badly there. They're wiping up the floor. And now Terry Doken is on the floor. and he's letting the Rebels know what he thinks about it. He's not happy.
Yeah, as Terry's yelling at the Rebels bench about something.
So like I said, I didn't see how that started. I don't know if Walsh just decided to jump for Eddie. But something happened there.
I was a little focused on what was happening right near the goal, and sure, the fight was near the goal, but I wasn't focused on that side of the floor at that time, so. The referees are having a discussion right now, right in front of the penalty boxes, just, I think, trying to sort out all the penalties at the moment.
And I don't know what, Ferretti was probably saying something to the officials. That had to be why they kicked him out.
Well, he said something to, I think, 3 officials, because he was yelling at all 3 officials.
Yeah, so I believe that's what happened there. I don't think they were, because he never really engaged in the fight. He went down to the floor and was covering his head.
Yeah.
I think he probably got caught when he was still on his feet a couple of times, because when he was leaving the floor, he had a pretty bloody mouth.
It looked like he went pretty hard down into the floor off of Walsh. It looked like Walsh kind of dummied him down, and he kind of ragdolled a little bit right into the floor. So, which you can actually see on the floor. You can actually see there's a blood spot on the floor where the fight was. I don't know if you can see that, Mo. It's kind of right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to see, but nonetheless, I'm surprised they actually didn't wipe that one up. But looks like they've sorted all of the penalties in the penalty box, and referees are going over to talk to the benches about it. So after a little bit of discussion and conversation here, it seems that the final penalties here, and the numbers don't quite match up, but it looks like they're giving Rylan Walsh 5 for fighting and a game misconduct, and then Ferretti's getting 2 minutes and a game misconduct. So Walsh officially announced. So Walsh actually does get 2 game misconducts, including an aggressor penalty there. Julian Ferretti also is going to get a 2-minute penalty plus a game misconduct, and then they do announce Tyson Smith gets 2 10-minute misconducts and a game misconduct. So correct me if I'm wrong, Mo, but does that mean that because Rylan Walsh ends up with 2 game misconducts, he actually can't play the next game as well?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So That would be Rylan Walsh. That now will sit for, at this rate, we're just over halfway through the game. Rebels lead by 5, so it's either going to be game 3 or the first game of the Larry Bishop as Pook now in all alone against Horn. And Pook is going to put it home and make it 10-4 for the Rebels.
Yeah, I was talking about turnovers earlier in this one, really right from the get-go. And one comes back to haunt the Crude there, and they transition back at Will Horn, and it's just kind of dribbled by him somehow.
So we're back to playing some 4-on-4. So now, Mo, on the penalty, or on the score clock in here, they have the Crude sitting for another minute 24, and the Rebels sitting for 9:22. So does that mean they are actually playing shorthanded for 9 full minutes still of this game?
Well, I mean, right now the Rebels are... Yeah.
It's 4-on-4 on the floor right now.
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, the fact that it's on the clock would make me think that, yes, that they will have a power play for 7-8 minutes.
So once this penalty expires for the Crude, this is really going to be the time that the Crude need to mount a comeback, because they'll play almost the entirety of the rest of the period on the power play as Vetch throws it to Connors, and Connors is going to miss that one. Still, Vetch picks up his own rebound as he's going to be pinched off now by Belachuk, gets it over to Connors. Connors back up to Lowe. Lowe passes off to Kohut now to Baker. Baker trying to get around, get some help from Kohut, gives it to Connors. Instead, Connors is going to cut in and get a shot off, and Horn able to come up with the stop. As now there's a bit of extra pushing and shoving there behind the play between, I believe that's Connors and Lemieux. As Longmire and Lucid are having some words right in front of their respective benches. As now Connors restarts for the Rebels. Gets it to Baker. Baker to Connors. Far side, Lowe. Lowe fires and scores. Puts it short side on Horn. 11-4 Rebels lead.
Yeah, that wasn't a good goal. I can't go in, but you know, this is a type of game right now, and it really has been from the jump, where if you're the Crude, you've got to come in and put this in the memory bank and just kind of keep it in the back of your mind and use as motivation as you move forward and into the provincials.
As referees are having a discussion here with the two centermen. 8:09 to go. There's 2 seconds left on the Crude penalty. I don't know what exactly they're discussing right now, but they're having pretty lengthy discussion at the moment. As now finally everybody's sticks are down. And we're back to 5-on-4 power play for the Crude. Renault passing over to Connors. Connors gets a shot off. Horn comes up with the stop.
So yeah, Keenan, now they're on the power play for the next 7:45.
Which is all but 7 seconds of the rest of this period. So the Crude have to go to work here. You're down by 7, but with 7 minutes of power play time, I mean, this is the time to mount the comeback. As Fodchuk rips one right past Reed McLeod, who actually came in replacement of Bowen Carpenter after the fight. So Fodchuk gets another. It's 11-5.
Yeah, I just talked about how that was a pretty weak goal on Horn on the last power play, or for the last set on the Rebels. Well, that was not a great goal back the other way there. Kind of goes through McLeod. And now with 7:27 to go on the power play, the lead's down to 6.
With only that 6-goal differential and 7 minutes to make something happen, I mean, this game may just be turned on its head after that fight. As the Crude win the draw. Reich gives it off. Now finds its way to Fry. Fry at the top. Dishes it off as Fry actually faked holding it. Actually had me fooled for a second as Fry to Dickin. Now back down low, back up to Dickin. Dickin looking, gives it to Fry. Fry now over far side. Fodchuk looking back across to Dickin. Bobbled it momentarily. Crude maintaining possession. As now losing his footing as the shot clock comes to an expiry is Bowie. And now Walsh, the other Walsh brother of Reese, still in this game, will hold this one.
Yeah, they just made it. The Crude made it so much more difficult on themselves in the last power play set. No movement into the middle. No guy in, into the middle waiting for the ball or cutting, off the ball. And then they don't utilize their guys down low on the crease much either.
Walsh still holding as shot clock is going to come to an expiry. He's just going to drop it off and keep it down low. So 6:26 to go here in the second. And again, almost all but 7 seconds of this period will be played on the power play for the Crude. Over on the far side with it. Now passes off to Fry, to Dickin. Finds his way back to Fry. Fry's going to rip one. McLeod comes up with the stop. Crude able to regain the rebound here. Now this is how the Crude need to be playing for the rest of this power play as Dickin scoops it up. Dishes it back and forth a couple times with Fry. Finds his way back to Fry, now backhanded to Dickin as he throws it on net, and it goes, I believe, just a little bit wide as there's no call for a reset here. And a nice job by Vetch just trying to push Lewis back over the center. He isn't able to. Dickin holds, 5 seconds left on the shot clock as he rips one on net and scores! As the referee says, it just barely crossed the line, and Graham Dickin gets on the board and cuts this lead down even more.
Yeah, McLeod and a couple of Rebels saying that didn't go in. But official Tony Reed right on top of the crease there to call that a good goal. And the Crude, it was kind of through McLeod again. They kind of relied on a perimeter look from a bad angle. But hey, all of a sudden it's 5 goals and there's 5.5 still to go in this second period and 5 minutes remaining on the man advantage.
So the Crude still on the power play for another 5 minutes, as now the Crude only trail by 5, as Walsh holds it on the close side boards. Walsh, spin move against Fry, holds. Walsh still holding. Again, Walsh just doing a nice job of holding this ball, killing off as much time on the PK as he can. As now Walsh is going to cut in. Walsh in all alone and gets a shot off on Horn. Horn's able to come up with the stop there. As now we cross the 5 minutes left in the second period mark. As Fry crosses half. Everybody goes for a change off. As Fry slows it down. Fodchuk, Fry. Close side. Up to Dickin. Dickin rips one. Shouldered down by McLeod right into his stick. The Rebels try and cut, and Fry with a nice cut pass as the initial pass that was intended for Thiessen missed him. And the Crude continuing work down low as Dickin was up on 1 foot actually trying to throw that one on net, and he can't. And now the Rebels back the other way with Vetch bringing it in.
It was a bit better of a look there for the Crude. Dickin got himself open down low, and it just looked like the ball just didn't quite settle in his stick on the quick stick and kind of fell out on him.
Vetch along the far side, being covered by Lemieux, and getting a bit of assistance there from Menon as well. Low trying to help out Vetch. As Vetch is able to throw one on net, Horn just drops down to make the stop here. And just sends it right over to Balachuk. Menon gives it back to Fry. Fodchuk to Fry up top. Fry looking and looked to be winding up his Dickin. Actually, I think that's Dickin. He actually trips over his own feet there.
They needed some urgency there. I mean, they had the ball. They didn't get the ball into the offensive zone and set up until there was 10 seconds on the shot clock. And obviously, you narrow down your options when that's the case, and just making things a lot more difficult on themselves there.
It's Walsh with it on the close side. Lemieux drives him into the boards. Still holding it is Walsh. Gets around now, 2 defenders looking to get around a third, as he kind of does, and backhands it towards the net. Horn actually, I don't know if Horn quite knew where that ball was going. Nonetheless, the Rebels maintaining possession here, short-handed for still another 2 minutes of this one.
Keenan, I didn't know Reese Walsh had that in his bag of tricks, that behind the back look, man. That was pretty impressive, actually.
That was very impressive. Nonetheless, didn't translate into a goal, but I think it just threw Horn off a little bit there, as Horn looked like he kind of like just shockingly threw up the shoulder. As Eastwood throws one just wide of the net. And Thiessen just tries to clear it down as far as he can, as the ball's going to go all the way back into Rebels territory.
Yeah, they're very short benched here, are the Crude, but if they're going to have one last push here, they got to have a big next 2:18 here with still 1:40 to go on the power play and only down 5 now.
This is the Crude passing around the outside. Dickin to Fry over Fodchuk. Back up to Fry. Back to Fodchuk, who rips one on, and a nice stick save there by McLeod to keep the Rebels up by 5 as it lands right in the stick of Vetch. As Vetch got Johnson with him. Still short-handed. Vetch holding. Giving it off, goes for a change. Faking a move was low. Gives it to Simonson. Pook is trying to direct some traffic, I believe, with Simonson, and instead goes to the bench as shot clock expires and thrown into the Crude, deep into Crude territory. Brought across with a pass to Fry. Fodchuk, Fry, down low. Back to Fodchuk, back to Fry. Now Dickin. Dickin rips one. McLeod drops down, and quickly running in to give some assistance there was Renault. It's passed to Nickel on the close side as we're about to enter the final minute of play in the second. Nickel throws it to Connors on the far side. Connors trying to fake out Menon. Connors still holding. Gets some help. He's now being tag teamed by a couple of Crude defenders, and Connors throws one on net. As the shot clock comes to an expiry, it did miss the net there. 4 seconds left of PK time as Joe Levette's about to come out of the box, as Joe Levette was serving the penalties to Rylan Walsh.
And Reich is the closest thing that the Crude have to Bajma, just with his aggressiveness and his ability to get up on you and his sheer physicality.
As Dickin took a shot and a second chance opportunity by Lewis just ripped right off of the post. As Vetch now trying to get in there and knock it loose. Vetch doing having nice effort there with 20 seconds left in the period as Vetch gets the stick flown out of his hand. No penalty coming up on there. Vetch maintaining possession, somehow regains it. As now Joel Levette throws that on net, and it looked like it almost got past Horn. 5 seconds left. Crude have time for one last shot if they can. Fry is just going to throw it out from really far, and McLeod comes up with the stop to finish the second period. Through 40 minutes, Rebels leading 11-6 over the Crude and leading the shot clock 51-20.
Yeah, a little bit of a pushback there by the Crude late in that second period. They had the extended power play time, got a couple of goals early on it, and then it kind of petered out. But, you know, it is a tough situation they're in right now. You know where you're headed. You know you're going to the Larry Bishop. But it's also anticlimactic in the sense that, you're still playing a playoff series here. You're down a bunch of players. The Rebels are pretty well full strength. They had a big lead on you. You've narrowed it down. So there's positives to take away from it. We'll see if the Crude can make this interesting despite the lack of manpower in the third.
Well, the final 20 minutes coming your way in just under 10 minutes time right here on CROW LAX TV. My name is Keenan. We'll be back with the third. Welcome back inside Service Place Performance Arena. Third period action about to get underway between the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels and the St. Albert Crude Rebels, leading 11-6 through 40 minutes after, I don't know, if you want to call it a big second from the Crude, I mean, it was a bit better than the first for them, that's for sure. Is off the draw. Rebels going to have possession of this one.
Will be run time. There will be no stopping of the clock for the third period.
As they announced in Arena that they're going to do run time with no stopping of the clock for the third, that's an interesting choice. Mo, have you?
I've never heard of that at this level.
As
just
Connors scores.
Both teams wanting to get out of here is what causes it. At this level, I've never heard of that before.
That's interesting.
You have to argue with teams in like U13 to run the clock at times. I'm pretty surprised, but I mean, if you're the Crude, you obviously just want to get the hell out of here right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Rebels know they're gonna. I would imagine they know they're gonna win this game, and they don't have a problem with getting out of here earlier either. I don't think.
So Connor's goal makes it 12-6 here, as Bajma with the ball off the draw. Bajma passes off onto the far side. Jolivet throws one on net, and that's going to be stopped by Horn. Ball bounces. Now moving it in is Reich.
Now,
Reich
Keenan, can you imagine if by like some miracle the Crude come back here and win this game, played straight time, and they got to play a third game tomorrow? That would be go up in lacrosse lore.
As McLeod makes a stop. I mean, anything can happen. 18 minutes to go. They're only down by 6. I mean, weirder stuff's happened. I mean, as shot from Vetch on the outside coming in. I mean, how about that game earlier this season between the Outlaws and the Mavericks, where the Outlaws are leading by 4 with 6 minutes left, and the Mavericks come back and win that game in overtime. I mean, weirder stuff's happened like that, so we'll see. As the Crude have it around the outside, Fodchuk with it. Fodchuk passes over onto the far side boards and picked up now. As now picked off by Simonson, and Simonson's going to run it up the floors. Now Simonson, he's in all alone, gets a shot off, and that's going to go off of the shoulder of Horn. 17:30 to go here with runtime in the third.
And a little bit of an out-of-town update. It was game 1 in the Eastern final between the Queen City Kings and the Manitoba Blizzard, aka the Winnipeg Blizzard, and the Kings finally getting off the mat. They were up 6-4 halfway through the game. Well, the scoring slowed way down. They win the game 8-5. Take game 1 of that best of 3, and the game 2 quick turnaround is tonight out of Al Ritchie Arena in Regina.
So the Kings up by 1 in that series as a shot from the outside by Dickin. So the Queen City Kings now up by 1, looking to punch their ticket to the Larry Bishop next weekend. And they only have to win 1 more compared to the 2 against the Blizzard. And as we've talked about on the Junior Beast podcast exclusively here on the CROW LAX TV YouTube channel, is that the Blizzard, is a hard shot from low, goes off of the post, is the Blizzard have been able to get past the Kings, with the Kings playing at home in 2 consecutive years. Maybe this is the year that the monkey finally gets off the back of Regina.
Yeah, maybe third time's a charm for the Kings, but they still got a long way to go. Obviously, they got game 2 tonight coming up, and the Blizzard are a team that, as I said many times, they understand how to win and what it takes. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're able to knot that up, but I mean, as selfishly, I hope they do, because then you get a third and deciding game tomorrow from Al Ritchie Arena.
As Lewis took a hard shot and stopped by McLeod off his shoulders. Now Eastwood is going to score from the outside. Put the Rebels up 13-6, and now over doubled on the Crude. And I mean, the writing's kind of on the wall now with 16 minutes left. The Crude, they still can't come back. Don't get me wrong, it's only 7 goals with just under 16 to go. But I think the writing's pretty much on the wall at this point for the Crude.
Yeah, as they play an absolute banger here in the arena, Turn Me Loose. They got the Rebels are getting turned loose here this afternoon. And you know what? The way this has played out, this series has played out, just kind of being an afterthought, I think it makes that game when these two teams meet up in the Larry Bishop so much more interesting, because the Crude are going to have a chance in many ways to sort of ruin a dream season here for the Rebels as they host the Larry Bishop and have a chance to book their tickets for the first time to a Founders Cup in their home, in their backyard. And the Crude are going to come in as underdogs, and they're obviously going to have a much better lineup, and maybe they'll bring something that can kind of, I don't know, upset the Rebels in a one-game knockoff.
As Dickin with it, holding between Nickel and Brown, is now a shot and scores from the outside. Was Lucas Bowie as he pulls the Crude back up. It's 13-7. So Simonson and Stenson going to take the ensuing draw. Simonson wins it cleanly. As dishes off to Lowe. Lowe to Kohut. Now over on the far side is Pook to Lowe. Back to Pook. Now over on the far side again. Winding up is Baker as he throws one, and I don't think it got a piece of Horn. I thought maybe it might have. It did not, as they're going to call it an over and back as it goes all the way deep into Rebels territory with a Crude possession.
One shaky part of this game for the Rebels, and you know, sometimes it can be harder when you're up all game and you're not seeing much action, especially not much quality. But the one thing that hasn't been very good in this game has been the Rebels goaltending. Bit of an off start by the limited action that Carpenter had, and then now McLeod, but it hasn't been necessary.
Are going to walk in, and Thiessen's going to put that one on short side through Horn, 14-7.
Yeah, another transition look there for the Rebels, and it doesn't even really seem to matter if it's on the wrong side of the floor or not. They capitalize on such a high percentage of those looks.
And the Crude only had one defender back on that, so I mean that also contributes to it a bit of, you know, you have a 2-on-1 the other way. I mean, with a Rebels team with a dangerous transition like that, it's rare that you're, you know, if you're the Rebels, it's rare that you're not going to end up with that ball in the twine in the end. So 12:40 to go. As Simonson jumped the gun slightly, so they're going to award that ball over to the Crude with 12.5 left in runtime of the third. As Stenson passes off to Bowie. Bowie holds, looking for maybe an opportunity on net. He's not going to throw one on. Fodchuk now with it. Fodchuk moves up to the top, looking down low for Lewis. Lewis kind of just elbows it over to Stenson. Now Stenson back across and ripping one on is Fry, stopped by McLeod. And McLeod gets it to Johnson. Johnson crosses half, goes for a change off, and it opts to go to Lowe. Now makes its way to Eastwood. Connors. Back to Eastwood. Eastwood up at the top. Down to Connors, down low. Connors gets a couple guys right on top of him. Ball knocked loose, kept by Lowe. Lowe throws one on just to beat the shot clock in time, as the Rebels were preemptively looking to get the D on the floor. And instead, they got to quickly change back off as the Rebels look to mount another offensive pressure. Looking in center for Connors. It was technically made its way to the net, as now Eastwood is going to pick that one off, and now looking backdoor and shot low by Baker. Horn almost looked out of it there. Horn didn't know what was happening at all.
Yeah, actually, you know, he did a pretty good job to stay with that. He was kind of caught in a bad spot there, having to get back over and then kind of reset, and he was able to do so, and he did a good job of getting his shoulders up high and keeping his stick on the ground so that Baker pump fake up high, and that shot down by his 5-hole didn't find some space.
Vetch to Jolivet. Jolivet's going to rip one on, and a nice save there by Horn as he was dropped down low and just got the elbow up to make the stop, as Vetch and Jolivet all over
That was a good shot, good save by Horn there.
Is looking to cut in. Cuts back behind the net. Now to Lewis. Lewis passes across the floor. Now back down low, in all alone, getting a shot off, and that's going to go just wide for the Crude. Now Dickin's going to throw one on, and McLeod made himself big, and that probably honestly kept that one out of the net. Because now the Rebels move back right to left. As Brown's getting hung all over right now by Fry. Baker to Low, all alone, and stopped by Horn. Crude, move it cross center. Pass was cut by Connors. Simonson now lobs it up to Connors. Connors in all alone, and a nice stop by Horn. He's had a couple of good saves in quick succession here against the Rebels on decent chances that they've got.
Yeah, no, for most of the series, really, Horn's been really good on the in-tight looks and the really high-end quality chances. Where he kind of fell off in game one was some of those, either in like some of those 2-on-1s, maybe some opportunities from wrong side of the floor and those distant shots. But the higher end of the chances, the better he's been in this series.
As now the clock does end up stopping for the media timeout of period number 3, which is a good time to tell you that Battle of the Border is back this September in Missoula, Montana. Tour the beautiful University of Montana campus. Learn about the CROW LAX program and full ride scholarships available for Canadians, all while taking part in the annual North versus South Box Lacrosse Tournament. You can learn more today by visiting them on Instagram at Battle of the Border Lax. Well, once again, we thank you for tuning in to CROW LAX TV all season long. As still one more weekend of action as this game is coming down to the final wire here. Tomorrow, though, we do have one game for you on the schedule as the Mountain View Mavericks will visit the Calgary Chill. That's going to be a special presentation right here on CROW LAX TV. You can catch that game at, I believe, it's 6 p.m. tomorrow as the Rebels look for a pass down low. Simonson to Low. Now up to Baker. Baker looking to rip one on net. He does. Horn with a nice little sliding stop there is now running it along the close side boards is Balachuk. Stopped up by Connors. Keeping it, though, are the Crude as Renault trying to get in there to scoop that one away. Still loose on the floor as Renault is hit into the boards hard. And they're going to award this ball, however, to the Crude. Crude with possession. Fodchuk up top. Now over far side. Waiting for Fry to come out onto the floor as I believe that's Dickin. It's Dickin now. Trying to cut in. Now passes back to Fry. Fry over to Lewis. Lewis rips one and scores! Over the far side shoulder of McLeod. 14-8.
Yeah, Lewis does have a bit of a different type of release. He kind of pushes the ball out of his stick. There's no real wind-up, and I think goalies have a hard time reading that and reacting to it. McLeod did take a little bit of a step out, but not enough, and that rose up and over his shoulder. I also would say that was one of the first times I saw the Crude have all three guys, or at least more than one guy, moving on one side of the floor at a time. And those guys coming up, even though they didn't really get up there to set those back picks, they at least drew the defenders out of the middle and opened up the shooting lane for Lewis to shoot through.
Smart heads-up play by the Crude is right out of the face-off. Baker gains it and from pretty far out tucks it past Horn. 15-8, and that was one hell of a quick answer there by the Rebels. Basically telling the Crude, hey, look, we know you're trying to mount a comeback, not on our watch.
Yeah, I think the comeback is not even really within the realm of possibilities right now, but I think these two teams are just kind of playing loose and just shooting the ball at the net, and whatever happens to go in, goes in. But I think both of these goalies right now look fatigued and kind of like they're done with this game, as do the players.
6.5 minutes left in run time here in the third. An interesting scenario here from inside service place, where announced at the start of the third that they would play the third period in run time. And again, something that you don't hear every day in Junior B is Connors is going to try and pop that over the shoulder of Horn. Horn comes up with the stop, and now Stenson with it inside Rebels territory. Bounces it over to Menon. Menon, he's got Fodchuk right with him, being covered by Vetch. Now gets it over to Fodchuk. Fodchuk looking to wind up, goes for a pass across, and now a hard shot by Bowie stays out by McLeod. Under 6 to play. McLeod, cut off pass there. Is now the Crude were looking for something quick, and a pass from Lewis intended for Fodchuk just completely missed his stick, and now the Rebels come back right to left with 5.5 to go here in the third. Jolivet. He's got Eastwood giving him some help. Jolivet down to Connors. Now to Simonson. Now back down to Jolivet, who is looking to just one-touch shot that. And they're going to award this ball to the Crude. Crude bring it across half. Now to Fodchuk. Hard across the boards. Fry. Fodchuk. Fodchuk. He's got an open lane in all alone and tries to put it over the shoulder of McLeod. Nice heads-up play by McLeod to kind of, throw the shoulder up there and make the stop.
Yeah, the Rebels overcommitted there up top and let that underneath lane wide open for Fodchuk to go to, and good stop there by McLeod.
Johnson loses his footing momentarily, keeping possession, gives it over to Kohut. Now over on the far side is Baker. Baker's going to rip one on Horn. Horn comes up with an easy save there, as Horn almost shoveled it into his own net, and luckily it bounced off his foot and wide. That could have been an unfortunate break for the Crude, as now Balachuk holds it. Balachuk passing off to Fodchuk. 4:09 to go here in the third. As Fry going over to Fodchuk missed his stick completely, and now it's going to be Thiessen. Thiessen, he's in all alone, and Horn comes up with a save. Vetch now is right there. It's a 2-on-1, and the Crew just lazily coming back as now Vetch gets a shot off Horn with the stop. And, the Crew kind of left Horn out to dry on that play. I mean, 2-on-1 down low for a very extended period of time.
Yeah, they just looked dead tired on that exchange there, and I think given the game situation, probably weren't going to see them bust their balls back.
As now Nickel knocks his man down at Fry. Nickel maintaining possession, 3 Crude defenders back, so has to wait for the reinforcements, as Connors now has it. Just under 3:20 to go to Jolivet. Jolivet with a spin move and tries to throw it on net. He steps inside the crease. Horn picks that one up and now gives it to Stenson. Stenson in all alone, throws a shot on, and an easy stop by McLeod as he drops down and moves across the crease. Now Johnson to Connors. Connors. Simonson. Down low. Simonson was looking for maybe a sharp angle shot there. He elects to just pass it off to Baker. As Baker gives it to Eastwood. Eastwood throws it on net. That's turned aside by Horn. As Simonson and Baker are in there trying to pick that one up with 2.5 to go here. Cut pass intended for Connors, and now coming in all alone and scores. Noah Reich gets the goal, 15-9.
Well, what did I say earlier in this broadcast? Noah Reich, man, he's really stepped up for the Crude. He's truly one of their best players. I mean, out of their back gate with Trader out of the lineup, I think he is their best defender by far. And he's showing an offensive touch here now with 2 goals in this game, both in transition. And I knew he was athletic and everything, but he showed some really good breakaway speed there.
Absolutely.
To pull away from everybody. And if the Crude are going to go anywhere in the Larry Bishop, he's going to be in the center of it.
There's a few guys on that Crude team that for sure will carry the Crude in the Larry Bishop, and you got to think it's like guys like Fodchuk, guys like Elliott, guys like Reich. And, you know, coming into the Larry Bishop, I don't think Reich was high on many people's radars of guys to maybe watch out for on that Crude team, but Reich has proven time and time again that maybe he's a bit of a dark horse on that Crude offense. As the Crude moving it around the outside with about 1:15 to play in run time here in the third. Is now given off and a hard shot by Lewis. Ends up in the stick of Renault, who dishes it over to Thiessen. Is now Thiessen to Lowe. Last minute entered here in the third, final 60 seconds. You got to think these two teams are basically kind of just going to play the formalities of playing it out as the Rebels are just slowly passing it around. Simonson currently holding at the top.
Yeah, the Rebels about to go back-to-back in the North, and this will have been their 6th straight trip to the North Final. They won in 18, won in 19, lost in 22 and 23, and then won this year, or last year, and are about to win this year. So that'll be 6 straight North Final trips with the 2 years of COVID taken out of there in the middle. And this will be their 4th title out of those 6 trips.
And as we enter the final 10 seconds, that's going to do it, essentially. As the final buzzer blows, your final score here in Game 2 of the North Division Final, the Rebels sweeping the St. Albert Crude in 2 games. 15-9 is your final.
So the Rebels now will go into the tournament as the North champion. The Crude will go in as the 2nd team out of the North. And if you're looking at the schedule, I believe the Rebels will technically be the hosts.
And the Crude should technically be slotted in the North champ slot.
As the North champ slot, even though the Rebels obviously do take the North Division. And then also going around the league, the Kings, as we mentioned earlier, took a 1-0 series lead earlier today over the Blizzard. They can wrap that best-of-3 up and punch their inaugural trip into the Larry Bishop later tonight at 7 o'clock. In the Central, the Mavericks came back and beat the Chill in Game 1.
And the champion of that series will open the Larry Bishop against the Crude as well.
Right, and that series will continue tomorrow night from Brentwood, 6:30 start. Chill and Mavericks.
And that's right here on CROW LAX TV as a special presentation this weekend.
And then in the South, the Shamrocks took a 1-0 series lead over the Mountaineers on Thursday night. Game 2 goes later today, 6:30 from Stupapard, as the Mountaineers try to even up the series and extend that to a 3rd game tomorrow.
Well, that's going to do it from here in St. Albert Service Place Performance Arena. Your final score, 15-9, as the Rebels sweep the Crude in the North Division Final. And we'll see both these clubs next weekend in Fort Saskatchewan for the Larry Bishop Memorial Cup. Well, for my co-commentator, I guess. You're not my co-host tonight, Mo. You're my co-commentator tonight. For my co-commentator, Mohammed, my name is Keenan. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon from the Larry Bishop Memorial Cup.